Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Okay, so I've really delved into it. I don't think I'm going to do it for too much longer, but there's a couple more things I want to say about this subject of avoidance. So I've delved into it quite a bit. I've watched hundreds of videos. I've read probably dozens of blogs, not a ton, but I've read quite a bit. And I have a pretty good, strong understanding of what's going on that way. And also, I realized I've dealt with them in the past, and someone very recently. Someone I really, really, really like. I think it's a very special person. So I'm going to start it out with this, and we're going to get into the deeper subject. There's something about avoidance where you just fall in love with them, and I don't get it. I don't understand why. I think there's theories about it. My theory is, I think what happens is, I think inside they have this amazing love, and I mean amazing love, but unfortunately they have kind of this fortress, what we call the Great Wall of China. It's literally like this thick 4-inch, 3-inch, 6-inch lead or steel wrapped around their heart energy, and they let a little bit of it out, and when they meet someone that they like, they open up just enough to where you can feel that it is the most amazing love you ever feel in your life. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why this subject is kind of blowing up all over YouTube and blogs, and social media in general. So kind of the pre-subject before this that is coming up because of avoidance is something that's called attachment styles, and that's essentially what I've been studying for the last, 3 months now, maybe 4 months. And it is kind of like the flip side of narcissist and narcissist abuse. And there's the secure attachment style, which hopefully you are. And then there's, different kinds from fearful avoidant to dismissive avoidant to, and I'm forgetting what the other one is right now. But they say if you know your attachment style, you'll know who to match up with and how to deal with it, etc. Essentially, if you're not a secure attachment style, there's gotta be or should be some level of therapeutic healing. Now, on accident, I just captured the first two points that I want to make in this video, which I find really, really odd. Out of all the videos I've watched, and I'm telling you, I've stayed up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning watching these videos, and not one single video coach, healer. One lady, she's getting her doctoral in psychology, etc. She's not a doctor yet, but she's doing therapy with people on avoidant issues, and all of her videos about, well, you need to understand avoidant. You need to understand this is how an avoidant is, and you need to give them space. So when they need 6 weeks to be alone, you have to just allow them to do that so they can comfortably come back. And it's such a really weird thing. And there was a lady in the comment section and says, well, what are they doing with all this time? 6 weeks here, 10 days here, 2 months here. It's like, are they having sex with other people? Are they in relationships? And here's the thing about it. For the most part, here's the funny part. If they fall in love with you, that terrifies them. And so they run away, and one of the ways that they deal with it is they sleep around. Now, if you don't know anything about avoidance and everything that's coming out online, is you're thinking like, run away from what? Love? Yeah. So the essential message that you will hear repeated over and over and over and over, and I am not kidding, and these people will say, oh, I'm an avoidant, and I am now an avoidant coach or an avoidant healer, and my YouTube channel, blah, 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 blah. So these are avoidants. Majority of these channels, I'm probably the only one that I know of that's not an avoidant, making videos on this right now. So they're all avoidants, and the number one message is, they're going to avoid you once they start getting close. So number one, they're going to run and they're going to hide for a while. They're going to have no contact, meaning no text messages, no phone calls. They're not going to visually see you, physically see you. And here's the other thing they say. The best way to attract an avoidant is to avoid the avoidant. It is such an, it's such a like, wait, this is just bizarro land. Now, I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm kind of trying to kind of crack the eggshell here, because it's like nobody wants to crack that eggshell and find the core truth, even though it's screaming in our face. Now, here's the other side of it. There are some learnings from this, and I mean important, like real core learnings. Like, hey, you have this wound. If you're dealing with an avoidant, it's possible that you don't, because there are some people that are secure attachment styles that are in relationships with them, and it's kind of like the best thing for them is where, because the avoidant's going to kind of ping pong around. If you're the solid grounded guy or a person, it can help them to become more grounded. So one of the lessons is, like, you know, if they're doing whatever, just go and live your life. Just improve on yourself and build your business, and, you know, do whatever it is you do, and they'll come back. And the main message is don't chase them, you know. So it's like, okay. So it gets a little bit bizarre, and I'm not trying to be mean by using that word, but it really is almost like we're living in a world. It's kind of like, and how to explain this? Okay, I'm just going to say it. Number one, I've asked this question on multiple threads, on multiple channels, and nobody has even attempted to answer it. And the number one question is, why do we fall in love with avoidance so intensely? What is this? And some theories are, well, you have some abandonment wounds, because that's what they do. They abandon you. They literally will ghost you for, like, you'll have, and I've seen this online so many times from avoidants themselves saying it. People posting, you know, writing in the description box or whatever, the comment section, I mean, saying they, you know, we had the best date. You know, every date we had been this amazing thing. And they even texted me the next morning, said, oh, I had a great date. I had a lot of fun with you. I can't wait to see you again. And then, boom, radio silence. They don't respond to your phone calls. They don't pick up your phone calls. They don't call back. They don't respond to your text messages. Boom, they're just done. And that will cause, if you have any issues of abandonment from childhood, from your mother or your father, if you have issues of all insecurities, they'll start bubbling up, and it'll drive you nuts. But believe it or not, there is a healing process in this, especially if you sit with those emotions and allow yourself to be with them. Now, that's another subject I don't want to go into yet, or at least not in this video, because I want to get to the core purpose of this video. So, number one, like, no one is talking about, like, wait, why do we get so addicted? Why do we fall in love? Like, what is this? No one really knows the real answer, okay? My theory, what I said earlier, is when they open up, you feel that love intensely. And it's like, holy shit, this is amazing. I really believe they just have this golden love. Okay, so number one, let me just go right through it real quick. So number one, no one's answering why we fall in love with them so intensely. Number two, and this is the one that kind of drives me nuts. It's like everything is backwards. Like, so all the videos are designed for you, the not avoidant or non-avoidant, the normal healthy person, or however you want to say it. This is how you deal with this toxic person who has all these toxic traits and strategies and interactions and ways of being socially, etc. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm the one who's got to change? Yeah. And here's the really weird thing, and because people underneath the videos are making comments saying this is bullshit, and some of them are really pissed, saying, so let me get this straight. I'm the one who's got to change. I'm the one who's got to adjust, while they're taking a 6-week vacation doing God knows what, dating other people, having sex with other people. Because these same people will make YouTube videos saying, yeah, if they're really close to you, if they really feel intimate, they'll run away and they'll get scared, and the way they deal with it is, yeah, having sex with other people. And you're like, so I'm supposed to sit here patiently while these people are having sex with other people. This bullshit, and even women on there were saying, hey, this is just bullshit. This is some bullshit. Now, I'm not mad right now. These people were, but I'm leading up to something, and here's what I'm saying about number two. Number one, why do we fall in love? No one's responding to that. Number two, nobody nobody is talking about avoidance seeking therapy. No one talks about it. No one says, okay, Mr. Avoidant, Mrs. Avoidant, here's what you need to do. Here's something you can do to heal yourself. Here's something you can do to, fix these patterns and realize this came from childhood and blah, 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 and on and on and on. Like no one's talking about it. But they're all saying that yes, avoidants have toxic traits and toxic behaviors, and they can be very toxic, and they can be very mean, and they do these things that really hurt. And they cut your self-esteem down, they do this, and you have to be understanding this is their way of pulling away. Oh, okay, so I've got to be understanding of them hurting me, and therefore I need to allow them to just have their space. And like, wait, what? So here's the deal. I really do. I know it sounds like I don't, but I really do understand. Like, okay, so essentially an avoidant, it's like they have this castle, and they've got their weapons on the outside, like any country does. We have Navy ships, we have fighter jets, we have missiles and bombs and guns and bullets, and essentially they're defending their castle, which is their heart, and they are sensitive people. So here's my point. I'm going to shift over to the therapeutic side after this. Because the way they deal with their emotional issues, their sensitivity, is they do a lot of really negative things that are hurtful to the people that are in their lives, especially their partner. And all of these avoidants making these videos and talking about it are admitting it. They're like, yeah, well, here's what they're going to do. They're going to hurt you, and they're going to gaslight you, and they're going to ghost you, and then they're going to cut you down. They're going to fault find, and they're going to, and you're just like, and not one even mentions, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Avoidant, you've got some healing work to do here. Here's how you deal with this issue. Here's what you need to do. Instead, they're telling us, here's what to expect. Here's how to deal with it. Here's what you got to do. They're going to take off. You got to let them be. Don't contact them. They'll come back eventually. It's just an upside down, ass backwards world when you're doing this. The emphasis really, really needs to be put on, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Avoidant, you guys have some serious issues here. They're unacceptable. They're toxic, even according to you. Not according to me, but according to you. Because all these avoidants are saying, like, yeah, this is really toxic stuff. This hurts people. People tell us, like, yeah, when you ghosted me, that really hurt me. So why isn't anyone saying, hey, you guys need some therapy. You guys need to heal this stuff because this is not good. In other words, okay, here's the point. 99%, and I mean 99% of the emphasis is on not the avoidant healing, but the people that are dealing with avoidant you. Here's what you need to change. Here's what you need to do. And there's almost not even a mention of avoidant. You need to do this yourself. And it just makes me look at the world like is the world backwards? Is the world upside down? That this is like telling me how to deal with someone's toxic behavior isn't going to heal anybody. It's just going to increase and continue the toxic behavior. Now I had a realization. I looked at all these people, and I looked on their websites, and I looked on their history or their background, okay? None of them has even heard of NLP, Ericksonian hypnosis, therapy. Even though you're like, wait, didn't you say one of them's getting their psychology? Yeah, but psychology doesn't really heal people. The way, I mean, now this is me going back to the 90s, because I'd actually been through a lot of different psychology, psychotherapy, therapists, and it didn't do shit. And I remember in college classes going, this is it? Like Freud was doing cocaine, and this is the best we got? And lo and behold, NLP was being discovered and created in the late 70s and 80s, and by the time the early 90s came around, I found out about it. Now, I do know there were a few psychologists in the 90s taking the courses. One was a lady, she got her doctorate degree from Brown in psychology, and she was the head psychologist for New York Police Department. Now, I had kind of gone through the trainings again, and I'd been an NLP trainer at this point for probably 5 or 6 years. And if you study NLP, when you meet an NLP trainer, you're like, wow, because like when you first start, it is an overwhelming amount of information, the mind shift, the changing, everything. Like, and it's an art you have to get really good at, especially the reframing, which shifts the meaning inside your brain on an unconscious level. And it's something that I have mastered. That is the one thing that I put all my heart and soul into for decades. I still work on that. And it's why I can casually have a conversation with someone at a coffee shop and they can make shifts really, really fast. So this lady, basically John Overdorfer introduced me and said, hey, this is Mike Kollin. He's one of our former students from years ago. He's been training in NLP, I think at that time for 10 years, blah, 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 blah. And so she essentially made friends with me, and one day about a week into it said, hey, can I take you out to lunch? I'd like to pick your brain. And so we started talking. And here I am, kind of intimidated. Like, this lady went to an Ivy League school. She got her doctorate degree from Brown and, in psychology. And I said, I have got to ask you a question. And I said, compared to what you've been doing. Now, at this point, she was probably 45 years old. I was only about 29, I think, something around there, maybe 28, 29, 30. Compared to what you do and what you've been learning, because we just completed, I think, the Practitioner course, or almost, and we hadn't quite gone into the Master Prac during this training. And I said, compared to what you do professionally, what you've learned from college, how does NLP size up with what you do? And she goes, I'm never going to admit this. I will never say this outside of this lunch. She goes, you guys make us look like we're in kindergarten. So here's the reason I brought that video up, brought that point up, that conversation, is I'm watching all these videos and no one's talking about therapeutic techniques for avoidance, and here's what a dismissive avoidant needs to heal, and here's how you're going to do it. This is what you need to do. And I'm listening to this going, oh, okay, that's a parts separation. Holy shit, that's a parts conflict. You need to do healing work and then parts integration on that. Like, I'm just listening to this and listening to what people say. Well, an avoidant inside, they want love so bad and they crave it, and because they never get it, because they don't allow themselves to have it, and when they finally open up to it, they run away from it out of fear, because the way they were raised, they were told be strong, stay closed, and that love is weakness, and all this bullshit, all these lies and false beliefs or conflicting beliefs. So I'm going to use some NLP terminology. They got a lot of belief conflicts. One belief says be strong. The other belief says, love is important. Now you got a conflict that says, well, love is weak. Okay, so that would be the conflict. Well, love is weak, yet on the inside they crave love because they never got it. And so now you got this two separate parts pulling apart in two different directions, and that is exactly what an avoidant does. And this causes an avoidant to close off from their heart, and there's and the belief that love means that's weak and be strong and all this stuff. I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to lay it out therapeutically. Okay, sorry, but first I almost missed this point. So the reason why I brought up the psychologist from Brown who got a doctorate degree from Brown, who went to the NLP trainings that I retrained in, etc., well, she said, Michael, you make us look like we're in kindergarten. She was talking about psychologists from Ivy League schools. I had a client who had his doctorate degree in psychology from Harvard, and he was in his 50s, and he had been practicing psychology since he got out. He specialized in marriage family counseling. He came out and trained with me for 1 week, and he was just like, by the fourth day, he was like, where did you learn this stuff? I'm like, why? He goes, I thought I knew everything. He goes, I haven't heard of any of this stuff. Now, you're thinking, oh, NLP? No, the stuff I'm teaching is not. I do teach NLP techniques and communication models, but there's some things, the discoveries that I made by meditating, studying with Buddhist monks, and a lot of other things are not, you won't find them anywhere else. Now here's what I said to him, because he was kind of contemplating, and I said, you're just now realizing that everything you've been teaching your clients, married, husbands and wives, has actually been causing them to get divorced. I had just taught him something that is hardwired into the female's DNA in her lower reptilian brain. It is instinctual, it is inside her mating system, and what we are being taught as men and women is the complete opposite that makes a woman fall out of love. It makes her lose all interest, all sexual attraction, all romantic emotional attraction. But this is what our therapists are taught to teach us. Now this is this would take at least an hour to explain what I taught him, and he just got really quiet. And this wasn't the only thing. There's a multitude of things that I had taught him over the last 2 or 3, maybe it was the 4th day, and he was looking at me. His mind was blown. And then I said, now you know why the divorce rate in the first 2 years is through the roof. Because we are being taught and told the absolute complete wrong things. If you're a woman and you follow my channel, you hear me talk about double pictures, how sometimes a woman says A, but she means something deeper, more meaningful B, how women speak the internal language, mentally stimulating, emotionally fulfilling communication for more meaningful connection and bonding and relationship, etc. Like right now you're like, a man's like, deeper what? Meaningful double pictures, you say A, but you don't mean A, you mean B. Wait, why would you do that? We're different. So my point of sharing all this stuff is, one thing I know is I even know someone that I trained with Practitioner, Master Practitioners, Trainers Training. 5 years after, he flew out from the UK and he watched me work with a client. He was like, holy shit. He goes, man, you're good. He goes, I don't understand. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, I've never helped anyone. I'm like, what? He goes, well, they kind of come in for 1 or 2 sessions or 3 sessions, and I take their money and they walk away still messed up. I'm like, it's because this is an art. You think you could show up to trainings and not really study? You have to bust your ass to get good at this stuff. So here's my point. I realized, okay, this is why I brought up the lady from Brown, the guy from Harvard, etc. I realized, okay, because all of us, okay, even that lady, she's admitting, like, you make us look like we're in kindergarten. We don't really do anything with people, we think we are, but, even my dad, I remember my dad said to someone that they'd been going to therapy for this issue for 7 years. He goes, so you've been going to a therapist every week for 7 years and you still have the same problem. They're like, well, yeah, but we're getting close. He goes, you've been saying that for 5 years. He goes, you're not getting close. It's not working. So what stimulated this video is I was watching another video of some guy saying, oh, well, here's what you say to an avoidant to make them feel comfortable. They're going to feel comfortable in the moment, but it's not going to help them heal. So what he said was nice, and it did make sense. And it probably will allow an avoidant to feel calm in the moment. But it's going to come right back next time they interact with someone else or even with you. So it dawned on me, this guy has no training in psychology, has no training in anything other than avoidant attachment theory, keyword theory, not results. This guy, and I mean this in the most compassionate, respectful way, he has no idea people can actually change and shift. Now here's the deal. Even my buddy Rob from the UK, he didn't really think that this stuff worked. He thought it was kind of like, we just bullshit them, they give us money, and we make them feel good, and they walk away and come back next week, and we charge them again. And see, this is it. Even growing up, like in high school or college, people like my roommate or whoever, they were going to see a therapist. They weren't getting better. They just weren't. So it's like an unconscious game, and that we're all playing like, oh, okay, yeah, you're going to therapy, yay. And yet 2 years later, you're still stuck with the same damn problem. So we're all living, or at least we were back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, we were all living this lie of psychotherapy. Psycho what? Therapy. Psycho the therapist, that's psychotherapy. Sorry, it's psychotherapist. Break that word. Break that word down into 3 pieces. Psycho, the rapist. It was a con job. They don't know what they're doing. It's all based on theory. And literally, everything I kept hearing was, well, the theory is, so-and-so's opinion our opinion is, our belief is. I was like in college going, I don't want to hear about theories and opinions. I want results. What actually works? Because they kept saying like, well, we don't really know why it works sometimes with some people and most people it doesn't work at all. But, blah, blah, blah. And it was like a con job, bullshit job. My reason and purpose for sharing all these metaphors and stories is to say I'm realizing like, oh, none of these people on any of these channels realize, hey, you can heal this parts conflict. We call it parts integration. There's an actual series of techniques where you can heal this stuff. And nobody's teaching this. No one's even talking about it. So it is getting taught, and for sure. Sorry, I shouldn't use that word, but I realized the majority of people still in the year 2025 don't know that these arts exist. Alright, now here's what this young lady said, the one who's getting her doctoral degree in psychology, and she specializes in working with avoidance. She literally said, okay, well, here's the red flags. If an avoidant isn't doing these things, then you should leave them. And she's going through it, and one of them was they need to be in therapy. They need to actively be going to therapy. And if they're not willing to do that, then you need to leave them. And what you can do is you can get yourself another avoidant. And I literally burst out laughing so hard, like you're going to exchange a bad avoidant for another one? Like, what are we going to frickin' the grocery store and buying avoidance? Like, what is this? I mean, it's like she was saying you can swap your bad avoidant out for a freaking refurbished one or something. It's nuts what these people are saying. And she's an avoidant. She says she's a former avoidant because she's healed now. She's as dismissive as they come, and she was, as she says, a dismissive avoidant. She hasn't changed. There's another guy in his channel who's like, yeah, I'm a former avoidant. I'm a healed avoidant, and yet he has a relationship where they don't live together. They don't do the podcast together. They're separate from each other. I'm like, well, so how is that not being an avoidant? The point being is like they're not healed, and the other point being is not any of these have said, hey, here's the therapist or the therapy or the techniques that we use to help me to actually heal. So all I'm saying in all this thing I've said for the last 15 minutes is one thing. They don't know that there are techniques. Because as I'm watching, I'm like, well, okay, that's a part that is a parts conflict that needs to be healed. Like, whoa, you need to reframe on that because you were taught that love means you're weak. Whoa, wait, like, where's this coming from? These are all negative beliefs, belief conflicts, parts conflicts, rules okay, that's another thing. There's something that in NLP we call rules conflicts. We have one rule that says this, but the other rule says if you do, you're a bad person. Like, let's take money. A lot of people like, hey, you're taught like you got to make money, be smart, work hard in school, get good grades, and then get a good job, work hard, make money. But then the other belief is money's the root of all evil. So now you're in a conflict, you're making money, you're starting to have panic attacks, you can't sleep at night. And what happens with these people when they have this part conflict that money's the root of all evil or something negative about money is they work really, really hard to get money, but then when they make money, they're freaking out and they literally have a panic attack and then they lose it. They lose their job, they stop showing up to work, their business goes down, and they go up and down, up and down, up and down their whole life. And I'm like, let me guess, you make a lot of money, but then you get really poor. And then you work really hard to make a lot of money. And they're like, how did you know that? I'm like, well, because of your conflict. I'm going to tell you something right now. Parts integration, in my opinion, is one of the funnest and easiest techniques on the planet. Now, number one, they have to do parts conflict. They have to do, parts integration. It's a technique. The other one, we have to heal the belief conflict and the rules conflict, and the values conflict, okay? And all of this is done through timeline therapy. So number one, you're going to do some parts integration healing. You're going to do some timeline therapy. Okay, let me got some more here. That's number two. The next thing we have is strategies. Okay, so what are strategies? Strategies are techniques that you use consciously but usually unconsciously to help you get the result that you desire. These are the things that you say and do to get what you want. Here's what I find with most people most of the time. They're using a strategy or even a couple strategies, a series of strategies that they're really good at, that they've learned since they were a little kid, but they're not getting them the results. Such as, let's take an avoidant. Their strategy is when they open up to love is to run. And yet, they want love so bad. They want to get close to someone. They want intimacy. They want that loving bond. Yet the minute they open up to it, it freaks them out. So they take off. And what do they do in the interim or during this period of time? Well, they're fault finding. They're cutting you down. They're saying, oh, you look kind of ugly. Or, oh, that was kind of a stupid thing to do. They do these little things where they nitpick you and they cut you down because they're not really trying to cut you down, but they're looking for reasons to escape. They're like, I can't just leave for no reason. I got to have and they'll literally fault find. They'll make stuff up. They won't like your shoes or your haircut or your teeth or, who knows what it is. But they're looking for a reason to be like, yep, this isn't going to work. I'm out. This is one of their strategies. It's a toxic, negative series of strategies. The other one is just go ghost them, go radio silent, just don't talk to them. And now check it out. They do this after they have amazing experience with. They have an amazing date. They'll even text you the next day and say, I had an amazing, date with you. I had so much fun. I can't wait to see you the next time. Then poof, they're gone. Because now they're going, oh my God, I opened up too much. Oh my God, I let them in. And they freak out and then they run. And that's one of their strategies. These are not healthy strategies. These are not good strategies. You can learn. See, okay, there's something that in NLP we call strategy elicitation. We can elicitate your strategy and find out what you're doing unconsciously and going, oh, I see the problem here. And here's the great thing. We can change, shift, and alter your strategies to help you actually get what you want. Now here's the thing. This is just off the top of my head. The final one, that I think this is the fifth one here, is reframing. Avoidants are taught some of the most horrible beliefs about love, about relationships, about life, about you've got to be on your own, you've got to be independent, you can't work with other people, you can't, the first level in life is dependence, which I already made a video about recently. The next level, so when you're first born, you are dependent. You literally have to suck off your mother's, teat. You have to be fed. You got to be changed. Your diapers got to be changed. You got to be bathed. Like, you can't even walk. You are dependent. Now, even though you can start to walk at 12 months or 13 months, you're still super dependent. You could not survive on your own if you wanted to. So we are born into the world dependent. The next stage, when you turn about 7+ years old, you kind of become a little bit independent, but you still couldn't survive in this world at the age of 6 or 7 years old. You have a lot more to learn. How do you get along with people? How do you learn? How do you do math? How do you work? How do you, etc. And then there's the next phase of very successful people where they become interdependent. These are people they're independent in their own right. And then they begin to work with other independent people so they can become more successful and the other person can become more successful. That's interdependence. That's why some people thrive and are really successful in life. Now, the only reason why I bring that up is because one of the beliefs that avoidants are taught is to be super, ultra independent, 100%. Most people that are independent are a little bit intra-dependent with other people, working together on some level. But not an avoidant. Everything's got to be on me. It is an unrealistic belief system. All of this stuff, including locked-in unconscious beliefs, can not only be elicited, meaning pulled up, they can also be changed. This is what I do. These are just a few of the techniques that I use from NLP or Ericksonian hypnosis or other therapeutic techniques that I've learned from Buddhist monks to psychology to everything I've done my entire life. If you need help, get a hold of me. Now here's the deal. This isn't just for avoidance. This is what I do with anyone, whether it's relationship issues, personal issues, you're stuck financially, you feel like you for some reason you can't get ahead in life. It's because something's going on inside. We have the technology. We can help you change. And the main message I want to leave you with is you can heal and you can change. If you like this video, please click subscribe, click that bell, go ahead and click the like button, and if you want, you can go ahead and make a comment, and you can go ahead and make a donation. There's a PayPal link right there in the description box. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.